Alright, hey, what's up? Uh, this is my recording of me doing my first urban exploring mission, I guess. I found this abandoned warehouse and it was open, and so right now what you're watching is me just entering in and kind of exploring. I got a GoPro attached, the GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition attached to my head, and I'm walking around with just a simple flashlight and a backpack with some snacks and a drink in there. And I've never done anything like this before, but I've just really enjoyed watching urban exploring over some time. I think that's a really beautiful hobby. It's a way for people to appreciate architecture, but also history and all the lives and all of the things that have come to pass in these buildings. And not only do you see all the history and the usage when you walk through these places, but you see what time has done and what nature does when these buildings are left just to themselves and to let nature take over. It's a really beautiful process, and as you can see now, oftentimes the process is a little bit sometimes sped up, and sometimes just it's kind of brought about in different ways when you see vandalism and graffiti. And I'm really not a fan of graffiti, but in this case I found, it kind of added an interesting aesthetic to it that in a way it was beautiful. I would never condone graffiti, but I did find that it added quite a different feel to walking through this place. And I mean, because in a way it is art, even though it's vandalism. And, I did admire it. So, one of the interesting things about what I learned through this process was just how different it was filming in such a low light area. I'm not, super experienced with camera work and filming in general. It's something that I've been trying to get more accustomed to and trying to learn about over time. But, real time experience, I haven't had a lot of it. So, like with the GoPro, it was interesting because the GoPro actually showed the lighting a lot closer to what it really was in the building. Whereas the DSLR that I use, I took pictures with it, and I filmed with it. And I'm gonna make two separate videos. This first video, I'm gonna have this as part 2, but I'm recording it first, me talking over it. This GoPro video is going to have, for one, narration to it, which is me talking over it, kind of because it's a little less artistically founded, in the sense that, I'm not getting slow, smooth shots going on. It's just kind of a bit more of an adventure, and you're watching me go through this adventure from the beginning to the end in order of the way that I did it. And so, that way you're kind of following a storyline or a plot more so than the DSLR, which is more artistically based with the kind of shots that I took. And I'll combine my my DSLR films with, at the end I'll throw in the photographs that I took. So this is my first time doing that. That's why I'm explaining it. And in all, I'm learning what works. I think it's kind of really cool for me to document it like this, but also to put it out there, to go that one extra step of me documenting it for my own personal self, but also letting others see it, kind of, for one, informs other people about what this hobby is. Urban exploring, abandoned buildings and structures that are kind of just left to nature, and it's preserving, in a sense, what was and what still is, but what might not be tomorrow. And that's why I find it so beautiful. That's why I'm putting it out there, is for other people to appreciate it. And yeah, that's kind of gonna stop me for now in going through what I'm doing here. I'm walking through with the GoPro, There's a lot of edits, I kind of cut something out if there's me with my camera, I'm pulling it out or me adjusting something. So my edits aren't, exactly how I'd want them to be, or the fluidness isn't exactly how I'd want it to be, because when you're filming, you're going through something in real life, and then you look at it how it actually came out when you're going over the recording. There's two different things, because I'm seeing things through my eyes while walking through, yet I see things through the camera's eyes when I go back over it. So it's kind of like when you're walking through with a GoPro attached to your, basically it's attached at your forehead. You kind of have to understand the differences in what that's going to look like from the eye of the GoPro instead of your eyes. And using the GoPro on your forehead is very similar, but it's also really different, because for one, there's a fish eye lens that basically kind of warps things, and I could fix that, but going through all this editing has already taken so much time that I don't feel like I'm going to do that on this one. As well as you get such a wide angle that everything you're looking at close up, everything looks farther away basically using a GoPro because of the style of the lens that's on it. So, getting used to those kind of things, it's a bit of a learning curve. So this is more of a test than anything else. And I'm kind of talking over it, for one, to let you guys know the process and what I'm going through and what I'm thinking, but for another reason, so I can go back over it and learn when I rewatch it. So that's kind of something there. And why there's all the edits and the cutovers, and, it's not as, like I said, the transitions aren't as fluid as I'd want. And I'm not throwing in any artificial transitions that you can find. I'm using Premiere Pro. I'm not throwing in the transitions that are already there. I'm trying to just use straight stock footage, no editing on any of this. This is all, non-stabilized, non-filtered. It's just the only thing that's different is me cutting out the length of the film to make it more appealing to a viewer. And while it's longer than I'd like, I don't know what to keep out and what to keep in at this point, so I've tried my best to take out what I think should be taken out, but to leave everything in that I'm not sure of, just because, it's a learning process, and I'd rather have more than less for now, so when I look back, I can understand, that's what I should start taking out, and that's what I should, keep in, and so it's just a process. I'm talking a lot. I don't know if that's unwanted or not. But then again, the GoPro videos I feel like are going to be less of a thing that everyone's going to want to stay and watch, just from my opinion. Because I think it's a little bit less visually pleasing, for one, because of the shakiness. I mean, it's still pretty steady because of the mount on the forehead mount with the GoPro head strap. But I don't know, it's different. This is more of an adventure, and if you want to stay along for the adventure, that's great. But then I just imagine that not as many people would want to stay for the whole, 20 minutes that this video, takes to go through itself. So that's just kind of what I'm thinking here. So me talking over, I don't think it's gonna get in the way as much as if I was talking over the DSLR film or footage, because there's going to be less people watching it in general. If you're watching it, I hope you are enjoying it and enjoying the adventure. In the future, I don't imagine I talk during all of it as much, but, just for now, this is a learning experience and a learning approach, an educational approach, I guess, and that's why I'm talking over it in this way. So, I'm going to try to stop talking about all the technical things. Being my first video, that's kind of why I covered all of this right now. But now talking over some of the interesting things about this place that I found. Now, I'm not going to tell you the location where you can find this, simply because, people see an abandoned building. I don't want them to go here and to vandalize this because they know that there's an opportunity to do so. There's abandoned buildings everywhere, and if you look out I'm sure you can find one. If you want to go see one and explore, find your own adventure. I don't want to get in the habit of telling people where I'm going because, you know, I can't expect everyone's intentions to be, I guess, as artistically and adventure founded as mine. Uh, so just going off of that, I'm like I said, I'm looking at this I'm looking at this from an artistic and adventure standpoint. I get both of those things from here. I would never take anything. I would never destroy anything or vandalize anything. It's just simply walking through and admiring all the things that there are to this place and trying to see what it looked like and to imagine what used to be there and to kind of guess what will come. And a lot of times, that's pretty obvious. But, that's just kind of how things go, I guess, in a environment like this, an abandoned building. So one thing I left it in there, but it was such a short clip. I am wearing a respirator mask, just in case there's any black mold or asbestos or lead-based paint anywhere in the building. It's just a small precaution, as well as inhaling dust and harmful molds. It's just a precaution that I take. I mean, it's my first time, but after watching so many people, I thought it would be an option to watch out for myself and my health long term. So that is something that you can't see, is that I am walking around with a mask for ventilation. As you can see, there's the building's falling apart. There's paint chipping everywhere. One of the things that you really can't see in this video is all the detail. There's so much detail, and you see a lot through GoPro. GoPros are really a nice recording avenue for somebody. Especially, they're an action camera. That's the definition of what they are, is they're action cams. But, it's not going to get you all the detail that's there because, of course, that's just not... unless you're using a red cam, it'd be hard to see all that detail. Especially in, what I'm filming in, which I think I'm filming 1440p, 30 frames per second, I believe, and that's a lot of information for one to store, and for two for a camera to record well. I don't shoot 4K because I couldn't edit 4K properly, so that's why I'm filming it like that. But yeah, there's one of the other things is, despite all the crap on the walls and the peeling paint, bird crap everywhere. It's everywhere, and you can't really see it. There's a few times I try to kind of show it, but man, there's bird crap everywhere. And in certain spots, the floor, there's no floor anymore. It's just bird crap. So that's one reason I was really happy to have the mask. But it was a lot more grungy, I guess you could say, walking through it than watching this video. Yeah, it was really grungy, but kind of in a beautiful way, Something about the grunge was just a piece of what this whole composition really represents, this building. I wouldn't have it any other way. And another thing would be the graffiti. There's so much everywhere. It actually was pretty hard to get in the building, but I found basically a panel that wasn't secured anymore. So it was hard to find that, though, because you could tell this whole building was basically closed up. And it took me quite a bit of walking around the perimeter of the building to find an opening. So yeah, you could tell that people used to come in a lot, but I don't think that they really come in anymore. It doesn't look like anyone's been in there for a while. But yeah, the graffiti's everywhere, and it's actually really well done. You can tell a lot of people have, an artistic soul, but, wherever they're at in life, it leads them to doing it in places like these. I mean, psychology-wise, you can go into why do people, make art like this in such a grungy and kind of forgotten and a little bit of a forbidden place. It's an interesting thing to think about when I see these things, is what led these people to be here and to do this. I can't really say, but it really is just an interesting thing to think about. I'm going to kind of say lastly here what this place was. It was really, really hard to tell, and nothing said it anywhere. But there were a lot of compartments, and I did see a sign that said FER, and that only led me to believe that they were compartments for fertilizer. I really couldn't think of anything else, and I might be very, very wrong. I have no idea what a fertilizer warehouse or fertilizer storage facility, whatever you would call it, looks like, but just from looking at it, I couldn't really tell what else it could be. And only judging by those letters did I really come upon this. As well as, the structures, of course. And being the fact that location-wise it is in the Fresno area. So, agricultural valley, prime location to store fertilizer or, manure, whatever. I couldn't really tell you. That's a lot of fertilizer. But if you're a big place like this, maybe you had a lot of people buying from you at one point. That's kind of a mystery, something that I'd like to find out, but at this point I haven't. If I find out, I'll put in the information or add a little box that says, hey, this is what this factory is. But for now, it's a mystery. So yeah, I've talked a lot. I don't plan on doing this all the time, but this is just an introduction to what I'm doing, to, the beginning of where I'm going with this. I plan on doing more urban exploring because I really enjoy it. On top of that, I just, if you're still listening to this, if anybody still is, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed seeing something new, learning about something new, and if that's the case, then that's a beautiful thing that I was able to do for you, and I'm just happy to be able to do it. Yeah, so I guess what everybody says is, if you did like it, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video, or maybe subscribe to see what else I'm going to put out there in the future. If not, I just hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a little bit or something. So, yeah, bye.